Hello. Going for the more noir lighting today, just to change of pace a little bit. I have a book I want to talk about. It's called The Mysteries of Roy Huggins and the Deportation of Harry Carlisle by Tom Cantrell. There is the book, and it says in the back, The Mysteries of Roy Huggins and the Deportation of Harry Carlisle provided a harrowing and exquisitely researched examination of the television writer's life. Tom Cantrell dissects the Hollywood underbelly that transpires within our powerful entertainment industry, and in that defines what is essentially American. Well, that's interesting. Does it? Okay, let's talk about how I came upon this book. I came upon this book because I don't know, I follow some things on Facebook. I'm not even sure what the origin of this particular one was. It was some sort of comment on a book about something about Roy Huggins, and this man, Tom Cantrell, mentioned his book, I think, and I said, oh, I would read that. And then I got a message from him that offered to send me the book. Now, at this point, he didn't know that I was a major influencer and that I can sell perhaps millions, if not thousands, of books here on my illustrative YouTube channel. So it was nice of him to send me a hard copy of the book at his own expense from Missouri, I think that's where he lives. Anyway, and so I got into the book and read the book, and I thought it was very interesting, actually. It was interesting for me because I'm, as anyone who has watched my channel before might know, that I'm very much interested in this 50s thing, after post World War II stuff, the Red Scare, the rise of the National Security State, the National Security Act, or whatever it was, in 1948, which is a big year, internationally, the certain aspects of the book actually fit very well into that, and actually gave me a different sort of view about a lot of that. In that, what he does here is Roy Huggins was an extremely successful Hollywood television producer, writer, mostly producer, creator of television series. My attachment to Roy Huggins is, it turns out to be kind of a minor effect, in that I would always see his name as the creator of The Fugitive, which of course is kind of silly because The Fugitive is in fact Victor Hugo. So anyway, and I loved The Fugitive. But he wasn't involved with the show at all, really, other than being the creator, and put a lot more work into many other shows. Probably one of the most famous would be the Rockford Files, and also the Warner Brothers westerns of the 50s, where he started out. In the 50s, there were 3 television networks, and on the ABC network, Warner Brothers Studios, Jack Warner got the brilliant idea of selling them these hour-long westerns that were shot in the Warner Brothers Studios. And so that became a really big thing. And these shows, there was a Cheyenne, and I think that's the first one that Huggins worked on. Apparently in Cheyenne, kind of mimicking the Gunsmoke, they had a sidekick, a humorous sidekick for Clint Walker Cheyenne in the first season, and Huggins decided that didn't work and got rid of that guy. So I remember watching Cheyenne. I haven't watched it since then, but we watched Cheyenne all the time, and several of these things that were on back then. So, and then Huggins got into the detective series stuff too, which led to the Rockford Files and a lot of TV movies he worked on. A lot of stuff like that, and so he was, enormously successful for, 3 decades or something from the 50s, I guess, into the 80s. But the things with the Red Scare and the Blacklist is this is how he happened to ride along, because he did have a interest in socialism when he was in college, and it was kind of odd. He would join the Communist Party, like he joined the Communist Party, and then he would unjoin the Communist Party, and then join again. Like he joined the Communist Party, and then the Hitler-Stalin Pact came up, and so then he unjoined. I don't know, whenever that was. And then he joined again later, and I'm not quite sure what all that was about. I mean, it's not completely impossible that he could have been some sort of an agent all the way through, although there's no evidence of that or anything like that in here. But what happened is that he did get called to the House Un-American Activities Committee in the early 50s, and actually he named names of 19 people. He said, well, that's okay because they already knew their names and they've been named before, and things like that, to justify this abhorrent activity of ratting out, people who were, his comrades in the past, and, so he could achieve his own career. And, that we have other people that did that as well, as many who resisted and had their careers truncated for at least a decade. Some of them died, some of them never recovered, some of them did other things, continued to do Broadway work, wrote with fronts. This show in England, The Adventures of Robin Hood, was a vehicle that in many fronts, many blacklisted screenwriters wrote for. So anyway, he does this and rats out these guys in the committee. So the next week, he gets a screenwriting job at Columbia Studios. So there you are. And what marvelous thing that this book does that I hadn't seen others do in quite the same way, was that we get a contrast between Huggins and his career, what he did with his life, and he goes through all 19 of these people in this long section of the book, of all these people who he got, named names about, and tells us what they did with their lives, and many of them had really, really wonderful lives that continued certain kind of social connection and political relevancy and commitment to betterment and change that is, not apparent in Huggins' career. as basically a hack television guy, which kind of just kept rolling out product in this specific kind of way, and the specific kind of way that really worked out for the 50s and for the culture that was being built after World War II, the rugged individualism, the Ayn Rand kind of ideas about individuals and so forth. He was very much of the rugged individual type and of characters that he created. The maverick, the former cop who's now a detective and is doing it his own way. All these things about particular individualism in the fight. For the unfairness of the system in that kind of way, and that it keeps the individual down. Roy Huggins was a real salesman of this kind of stuff, like The Fugitive. And I as a viewer of this stuff in a family that wasn't particularly connected in my own, I'm feeling kind of like a wild kid in a way of I didn't like my mother. My dad was working swing shifts all the time in the steel mill, so I'm there in Ohio in the evenings watching this stuff with them. And The Fugitive in particular really hit me. It's probably the TV series that had the most impact on me in that period of my childhood, and that and Little Rascals, actually. And Little Rascals was much more wholesome, I think, when it comes down to it, because the thing about The Fugitive and about that kind of rugged individual outlook that I, as kind of a shy kid, as kind of a there's something a little wrong with me to begin with. So knowing that and having this kind of material in front of me all the time from the designated source of power and wonderfulness, television, the families who were all sitting around talking, and people who were talking to one another and doing things, the whole way that television is such a contrast and a escape from real life into this fantasy world. So The Fugitive, I've been pretty happy to have like an episodic life. David Jansen in The Fugitive goes from episode to episode, and all these do. Oh, he also worked on Run for Your Life with Ben Gazzara, which is another show that I watched. I think something wrong. I think I don't know what, I can't remember the exact thing about that show. I think it was like a bucket list show. So where Ben Gazzara, I don't remember the guy's name, but he has some kind of a disease, and he's going to die. I think that's what it was. So he's going to have his do all this stuff. While anyway, so once again, the guy goes from place to place, and we have a new cast of guest stars every week, so we don't have to get involved in complicated long relationships. And that spoke to me as a kid, and that's sort of the kind of life I wanted to lead. Not as a cowboy, but as a kind of a rugged individualist that did my own thing, and that's unfortunately, it doesn't really work for working class people who really need other people and who need proper mentoring and who need to work together in collective action to make the world better. And that's what this kind of material was counter, and what this kind of material was anti, really, and from all these powerful corporations of television that swept across the country really quickly. He doesn't talk about the commercial aspects, the control of the commercial corporations. He just talks about the series themselves. So that the contrast between these activist artists who he blacklisted, who he named names, the 19, and his life as this sort of, wealthy TV hack kind of resonated with my mind. And I lost any much regard for Roy Huggins as a person. I mean, as a craftsman in television, such as it was. He was obviously very skilled and did a fantastic job. But is that really the kind of art that we want to give up to train people with? I guess the corporations do, but if the left and activists shouldn't want that to be the case. So I came across a review of, there's this new what's his name, Hugh Jackman, this new Robin Hood movie where he's Robin Hood is now old man with the big beard. And so this is a new movie. I read the review of that. And, so this rugged individual stuff, heroes who are individuals, continues on today. So we have, I read this movie, and what they've done is now Robin Hood in this movie is old, of course, but he's also a selfish criminal, asshole. He's not the guy that's robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. And why can't we even have that? We can't even have that. We have to make Robin Hood now into this rugged individual type who's well, I think he dies in the movie or whatever. It's about Robin Hood being. I liked Robin and Marian, frankly. I thought that was a beautiful movie with Sean Connery playing Robin Hood and Audrey Hepburn playing Marian. So that's a really good movie. And so this one, I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with this at the moment, and what I wanted to say about the book. So yeah, I've communicated with Tom here a little bit about the book, and he said he edited the ebook down that we'll give you links for in the comments. Please check out the comments in the video in case you might want to pick up this book, because it's it's the thing is, he sent me the book because he wanted somebody to read it, because I think it came out in 21, and I look at I was the first reviewer, the first thing to give it any stars on Goodreads, for instance. So it's, people read books, I don't know, and something particular. The readers of this kind of stuff, the people who are really interested in this sort of stuff in television, would like this book. The Harry Carlisle stuff. Yeah, this went on for years too. He's this guy. He was a CP guy who was an old man now, and he wasn't hurting anybody. And he. The prosecution of this guy and attempted deportation. I mean, the guy spent a lot of time in jail, waiting to find out what the solution is, as if he's going to overthrow the precious government of the United States single-handedly and stop all our wars or something. So it's it was kind of nasty that he would go to court and talk about this guy, and talk about what he would do, and rat him out, and eventually I think they did deport the guy like 10 years later in the 60s, after all these things go through in court and billions of dollars spent on on the prosecution and defense and all that kind of crap. So anyway, I think that's about where I'm going to leave this book right now, and tell you that, well, from there I'm reading another showbiz book now, a brand new biography of Stephen Sondheim. So I don't really like to that I have, I don't like to read a lot of showbiz stuff. I like to, the world is a lot more. There's a lot of stuff going on other than showbiz. So I'm going to read that, and I think. Regarding my channel, I've thinking that I might be starting to do more autobiographical material, and just stuff about, I feel like my channel's kind of never gonna be much of a thing anyway, since after 3 years or whatever, I only get like 700 subscribers. So that means I have a lot of freedom. I'm not audience captured because I don't have an audience particularly, other than a few friends. I appreciate you being there. But so I have this 360 camera, and I think I'm just going to go to places in New York, maybe sites, maybe not particularly sites, and set up the thing on the tripod or something, and walk around and talk about my own life. And people want to look at 360 videos and look around at the New Yorker environment would be free to do that, and they could turn off the sound and not. Maybe I can put an alternative soundtrack on YouTube videos. Can you do that? And then they can listen to me talk about myself if they want to, and otherwise, so what? Okay. And still be talking about the books, occasionally as I read them. So I want to slow down my reading process and do a little bit more of personal writing for myself, so I understand more about myself and have something I can say here about myself as I wander off toward the sunset. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.